All right, folks, so why now? Well, people are catching on the fact that it might be actually true and that the prices will continue to fall, and they're actually falling, right? So many people made the mistake while willingly or unwillingly, consciously or unconsciously buying properties outside Toronto, GTA. Some of these folks, they bought some of these properties way overpriced. I have no idea what they were thinking, but apparently the theme at that time was that, look, prices will never go down. Well, now more and more blogs and more channels are open to the fact that there is an actual high percentage and the possibility, even though it was in plain sight all along, they're claiming and stating, yes, we might head into a recession and we might see the prices even fall further. Now, on the other side, I mean, I had that, friendly debate with a couple of folks, and a couple of these debates, right? Like one is like, one debate was like, look, it's too long. Like, I mean, we are in this situation for too long and they have to solve it. I mean, I said, who is they and how long are we in this situation, right? So as proclaimed, 2022 March was the peak of the actual real estate market. But, who is they? And I'm asking everyone, I'm like, who is they? What is they that they will do and how will they do it? I mean, like everybody's hoping, imagining that there's some kind of magical pill that they will help the entire population of Canada. Now, I don't know if there's like a one fix band-aid that can solve the situation. And thinking about that stuff, like, like even you can see it on my top monitor there. Most of you remember this graph. I mentioned it many times in my videos, and this is exactly where we were in the denial stage. We passed that no limit curve, and now we're heading down into denial. Most people are saying, look, it is nonsense. Like nobody's building homes anymore. There's a lack of inventory. Immigration, interest rates are feathering down on their cutting on rates. So, like nothing but bright future. And I asked them a simple question. I'm like, look, all of those items that you have mentioned to me, immigration, cutting off bank rates, doing all of that stuff, lack of inventory, and everything that's happening, none of it and all of it together still didn't fix the problem. So what's the issue, right? They cannot answer the question. Like I asked them straight up, I'm like, okay, so we already see that. Can you explain it to me? So they cannot explain it, but somehow they believe it will happen. How long it will take until it happens, nobody knows. It might take 5 years. It might take 15 years by the time we see a correction in terms of the actual prices climbing up, right? Because some people believe we're out of the hole and now it's the best time. We already hit the bottom. Most people also believe now, because they're open to the situation, that we're not even near the bottom, right? So I mean, it's a hit and miss nowadays. Like, and people ask me, what do I think? Well, it is simple. Like I think that interest rates in the past, historically, were like they can create huge impacts, right? Because people fear and all of that stuff. But most of owners will struggle and will continue to pay higher mortgage payments to keep their home. That's just a given, right? However, if you have unemployment skyrocket, that creates additional issues, right? And that creates the biggest issue, because if you cannot bring money home and put bread on the table and somehow generate that income, guess what's going to happen? You're going to fail. You're going to go bankrupt. Your house is gone, like foreclosures and all of that stuff. So we see huge indicators with foreclosures. Some claim they're small numbers, even though they're climbing exponentially. All right. And people are forgetting that we had the biggest impact in terms of the real estate jumps, going up in history, right? So all of that, like now we're on the other side of the curve for a long time. Now we're dealing with that. We had the highest immigration wave, right? Student rentals, condos, condo developers and builders were geared, to build towards an investor, make the unit smaller, make the kitchen smaller, just cram everything into one hallway and call it a condo, right? And sell it for top dollar, right? So everything was geared towards that expansion. And it seemed like overnight, everything is gone. There are no more students. Whoever bought a student rental property and jammed in, 1632 students or whatever the amount is, like half of it, if not 80%, is gone. Now those same investors or owners are selling these homes and nobody's buying them. I mean, there's no market for it. The only market that qualified, that it made sense for higher pricing, was students, because you can diversify, you can make an interesting income out of it, and it's usually in high reward versus just a traditional 1-year lease that gives you an X market value and an amount. So also, I would like to add Airbnb, right? We remember when we were in these situations at the peak, right? Like all these cottages up north and east and west, wherever you would turn, right? Like hours from Toronto, hours and hours and hours. Top dollar. Like people were paying with gold for these properties. Unfortunately, today, those properties are not worth it, right? For so many reasons. Because these owners were banking and betting on Airbnb. Why? Because they can ask top dollar. There was demand. People were actually geared and interested in staying locally due to certain circumstances at that time that we all went through. So therefore, you benefited. Like most people benefited large. So everything is gone. Now, if we recap everything, right? Immigration is gone or softening big time. Students are gone. Condos overbuild, geared towards investors, gone. Cottage market gone. And all of it, right? Like it's gone, right? Like the prices is gone. Nobody can qualify for everything. Banks are shrinking and tightening. As much as people tell you, no, it's not true. It is true. They're tightening. Why? Because they have to protect their own asset. It's still the bank's asset. They have to calculate and they have to make sure. So when I get into these conversations and when people tell me, well, this is just a blip in the market and they don't know how to explain it, like it doesn't make sense. It's not a blip. It's a disaster. Like we're probably in a recession for a few years now. And we were probably in the recession in like in the 2017, 18, and 19. It's just like the actual market kept pumping and they kept throwing money at it and all of that stuff. Then we had the emergency situation for a few years that we just exploded and all of that stuff. So I think everything accumulated so much that there's no way we can sustain ourselves, right? And another factor that I would like to bring up when I speak to people from the 70s, 80s, and all of that stuff, right? And they say, well, like this generation is just lazy. Look, maybe, I don't know. But guess what? If you have to make $400,000 just to break even on your rent, then it doesn't make any sense, because the ratio doesn't make any sense for the value of the property in itself. Like, people cannot earn that much in order to risk maybe their down payment and stuff like that. So that's another indicator that people will, unfortunately, have to decide. Like, look, like it's either I'm gonna go under, or I'm gonna have to get rid of some stuff at a loss. And I had another situation like a few days ago, right? Like we got a offer, and they didn't accept it because they were $5,000 apart. And I kept going back, never forcing, but kept going back to understand. And I couldn't understand. And to summarize it, I said, okay, so what happened? So when we started, it was unrealistic, right? They said, like, I have to try with this particular price, right? So I said, okay, fine, you have to try, but within a few weeks, if we don't get traction, you have to reduce. And they kept their word. I have to be honest. They did keep their word. And we had multiple reductions, all right, within the few months. Now, having said that, when we finally got to a market value where buyers said, okay, fine, let's do it, these buyers gave like such a weird offer. And I cannot blame them either, right? Because the market is the way it is, right? So they gave such a low blow offer. It was like, oh my gosh, like, are you missing some numbers here, or what's going on? But anyways, so we dealt with that. We got back, and we were $5,000 off from our list price, $5,000, right? And guess what happened? Decline. They said, nope, full or nothing. And going back and forth, why? Because they're claiming, look, I already reduced tens upon tens of thousands of dollars, right? And now they want another five, right? Like, that's that mindset, perception, like that initial price was in your head. So you had to come up to a market value in order to negotiate. And then the actual offer was fair. $5,000 off from your asking price today, it's definitely fair. In fact, it's incredible. It's a miracle. But anyways, you do whatever you want with your property. But I'm saying, so people will have to wake up to the idea that it's not going to get any better. And now, winter time, we're noticing that winter started even earlier. And if you ever traded in winter, it's not the same. It's not the same mindset. It's not the same trade. It's not the same feel. It's colder. People are not pushed into the market anymore. There's no fear of missing out anymore. They don't have to go if it's too cold. I don't care, right? Like, so there's really no fire under their seat pushing them. In previous years, people that are actually serious about buying a property, they would say, look, I better get in as soon as possible, because next year, once the spring market unlocks, like, I'll probably be paying 5 to 10% more. So the downfall of that theory or that strategy, I would say, is sometimes there's lack of inventory during the winter months, and you gotta, like, it's a hit and miss. But if they find something, then it's a score, it's a win. I did it all the time, extremely successful. But now nobody cares. You talk to people, they're like, who cares? Like, I know that property will be there in February, will be there in April, will be there in September. They don't care. So the mindset of 2026 could actually amplify whatever we went through in 2025 by huge numbers, by huge. So I personally see more declines, especially because a lot more things are coming together. Like, there's the highest, it's the peak of mortgage renewals in 2026. We have seen a wave in 2024 and 5, but the biggest wave is in 2026. And then people tell me, well, hold on a second. Canadian real estate, it's bulletproof. Nothing can happen, especially a single residential detached home, freehold, however you want to call it. Well, hold on a second. But have you ever thought about the fact that most people, right, borrowed against these single dwellings, detached homes, freehold properties to buy their condos, to buy their cottages, to buy their land, right? So everything is kind of linked to one another, right? So I believe that 2026 will actually impact big time, and then we will see that big slide going down, right? Like on the graph, like if you ever saw the graph, like that slide will be like, okay, I know I can't hold on anymore. I cannot dip into anything anymore. I have to get rid of something. The climate or the situation is not going to change anytime soon. So there you go. I'm done. Like I seriously have to consider something. And guess what? When everyone starts to seriously consider the one thing, then we will flood the market again. And then what will happen? Another disaster. So I hope you gain some value out of this video. So please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.